Nvidia has officially cancelled the RTX 4080 12 gig. And well, 2 days ago, I made a video about why this model was so problematic, basically because it wasn't really a 4080, it had a different chip than the 16 gig model. And literally an hour after I posted the video, news came out about Nvidia canceling the card, so that video aged like fine spoiled milk. But with this, Nvidia has created a nightmare for their board partners because all the packaging is gonna have to be destroyed, the cards might need new model numbers and BIOS updates, because these cards will still exist. They'll just be renamed. Just like you'll be renamed if you don't follow this channel. Seriously, I have the paperwork right here. Nvidia is gonna be paying for the new packaging, but nothing was said about covering the labor costs, so it's an overall messy situation. So Nvidia really has created just a gigantic nightmare for all of its board partners, for themselves as well, but I do think this is a good change for the general consumers. I mean, I and pretty much everyone else really heavily criticized this card because of just how misleading it actually was to the general consumer. You know, we had the 4080 16 gig and the 4080 12 gig, and of course you would assume one just has a little bit more VRAM, so maybe if you're playing on 1080p, you probably for sure don't need that, right? But it had a completely different chip as well, so the performance gap was just huge. It was like 30% on average. So that model should have never existed before, but obviously now they have canceled it, and this is going to create a pretty big nightmare. So apparently they're not going to be doing the whole sticker over the whole branding thing, because obviously that would be a lot cheaper and a lot easier, but Nvidia doesn't want to do that. So all of this packaging is going to have to be destroyed, which Nvidia is actually going to be covering that, but you know, there's a lot more of work involved, you know, actual labor, people that had to actually package these cards, and now people are actually going to have to take these cards out of the packaging and possibly put, you know, new serial numbers on them, maybe flash a new BIOS on them, or at the very least getting new packaging and just repackaging them in that. So there is a whole lot of labor costs involved. You know, I mean, you have to get all of these things, you know, from storage. They were probably prepped, ready to go on delivery trucks. So it's a whole nightmare. Now the cards themselves, they will of course still exist. Nvidia is not gonna just destroy these things, because a lot of these things are probably already in the wild. They probably already exist. I mean, you have to build up the supply months in ahead before you actually do the launch, where you actually transfer the cards to other warehouses like Amazon warehouse and stuff like that. So, you know, then the sellers can actually sell them. So very likely what's gonna happen is this is just gonna be a rename for the 4080 12 gig. It will probably be either the 4070, the 4070 Ti, or maybe even a 4070 50. You know, that would be kind of interesting. I said that wrong, a 4750. There we go. So overall, I think this is a good move from Nvidia. I mean, these cards really just shouldn't have happened at the same time. It was way too misleading. It was just not a great time. I mean, the cards performed on average a 30% difference because of the different chips, and they had the same name essentially. So good that Nvidia did this. Obviously, it's going to be extremely annoying and expensive, but you know, it really shouldn't have happened at all.